writing guide at Purdue University, accredited school, apparently tells students to avoid words like mailman and mankind in order to have, quote, non-sexist, non-biased writing.
You're dodging the question. You're really good at dodging questions.
Society has changed and times are changing, and we don't want to be offensive in our language. And they're trying to be non-sexist and non-biased, and that means trying to take the word man out. So instead of man-made, it would be synthetic. So instead of mailman, it would be mail carrier. So there's many ways to go around it. Instead of humanity, you should say people.
This famous, I guess one of the most famous plus-size models, Tess Holliday, or is it Holiday? I don't know. We have her up on the screen here. Got pretty mad, and she said, "Who are you? Who are you to say what's beautiful?" The target demographic. Who are you? Who are you to... The target demographic. Now, and this idea that I'm going to change society's standard of beauty, that's not how it works. If you want, just love me the way I am. Okay, I will. Here's me naked. I'm not a fan. How dare you?
Well, I don't agree with a lot of the feminist myths. For example, a lot of people say that women are paid less than men. I don't know if you believe that.
That's a fact.
That is not true.
Sorry.
Can I explain why I don't believe that? Yes. The reason I do not believe that is because in 2016 there was a female Harvard professor who debunked the wage gap. The wage gap is the idea. What they did to find that finding, they compared a man's salary to a woman's salary. They didn't take into account if the woman had taken time off or if the man had worked overtime, because men are statistically more likely to work overtime. They didn't take any of that into account. They simply compared two salaries and claimed that women are being paid less. Since 1963, it's been illegal to pay women less. The Equal Pay Act was passed under 1963.
The way they frame income inequality, they talk about the 79 cents to the dollar, but what they don't discuss is that we're talking about completely different careers. We're not. The way they frame it, they frame it as if two people are working side by side. One is a man, one is a woman. They're both doing the same job. The man makes $1, the woman makes 79 cents.
Yeah.
That is not the case.
Well, it's typical of ideological conversation, because what happens technically, like imagine that we talked about poverty a few minutes ago, and we said, well, there's many reasons that one person might have more money than another. There are many reasons why women might make less money on average than men. There are small businesses that women run, for example, make far less money than small businesses that men run. But that's partly because a lot of women run their businesses part-time because they have kids. It's also partly because men do all the horrible, dangerous jobs, the ones where there's a high chance of dying. Men are much more likely to work outside. Men are much more likely to move in pursuit of a career opportunity. There are lots of reasons that men and women differ in terms of their income. But if you're an ideologue, you can only handle one variable. Oh, men and women measured en masse don't have the same incomes. Therefore, the system is corrupt.
Have you gone into a CVS and looked at how much the razors are for guys and how much the razors are for girls?
That's absolutely. No, that's another thing I don't agree with, and the reason is a lot of female like cleaning utensils, like what you said, razors and things. Those are made differently for women.
Wait, so they have to cost more?
It costs the companies more money to make them.
I taught at Harvard from 93 to 98, and there was a fair push for political correctness, especially in the early part of the 90s. But it got pushed back down and disappeared and went underground. It went underground is more accurate. And then it's just come back with a vengeance in the last 5 years. And I think it's partly because we have all these radical left political activist departments at the universities, women's studies being at the top of the list, that have done nothing for the last 30 years. It's even longer than that now. It's almost 40 years. 30 years, let's say. Have done nothing but produce a never-ending stream of ideologically minded counter-civilization political activists. And that's all subsidized by tuition and by the public purse. And that's another thing we really got to ask ourselves, is why the are we subsidizing revolution? Why are we doing that? It's crazy, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous.
He took away the civil rights page. He is a Nazi. Get it, honey. Get out of your mind.
This is what you got. You were trying to block me, ma'am. Back off. Back off. This is what you people do. This is what people do. I'm here trying to have a conversation and you're shouting me down.
I want to take you out back and beat the bricks off of you.